running direct.
The 2564 Atlanta Tower.
Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport is the busiest airport in the world. 5 runways handle up to 250 flights an hour. Security staff check 95,000 bags every day.
We are taking anything you can eat, drink, or surf the web with out of the bags.
I'm looking for anything that can connect to make an explosive material.
The airport handles 2 million passengers a week.
This is the final boarding call for Delta Flight 1286.
And it employs 63,000 staff.
If the pilot doesn't get this, he can't go anywhere.
So how does this enormous airport work?
The volume here at Atlanta is always the difficult part.
Exclusive access takes us behind the scenes.
It's kind of like the underground Disney.
Exploring the airport's hidden secrets.
Some people don't even know that I exist.
To discover the amazing team on call 24/7.
What I love most about this is being the good guy.
And incredible technology.
You process a U.S. citizen in a matter of seconds.
That makes this extraordinary place work.
Once the captain gets his clearance out, we're ready for on-time departure.
This is the secret life of the world's busiest airport.
Final call, Delta Flight 353 service to Liberia, Costa Rica.
Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta handles more flights than Heathrow and Gatwick airports combined.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Your aircraft has just arrived here at gate A28.
Around 261 million people, 80% of the US population, live within 2 hours flight of here.
Welcome aboard for Delta Flight 2179 in Pensacola.
And it's the home base for Delta Airlines, one of the biggest carriers in the world.
Hello, connections information is here on the overhead monitor.
That's why 104 million passengers pass through the airport every year, relying on the 2,700 flights that arrive or depart every day.
So it's 104 affirmative and make a left turn on taxiway November.
To ensure everything runs on time, hundreds of aircraft must be emptied, prepared, and reloaded at one of the airport's 192 gates. Under such pressure, every breakdown, every weather delay, every security alert has the potential to bring the operation to a grinding halt. So how do you manage the job of getting all those aircraft in and out throughout the day? This is where it all starts. Delta Airlines Ramp Tower, one of 3 across the airport.
And American 1309, coming on your left side to your gate, Tango 10.
From here, the staff control all the operations required to turn an aircraft around across 60 gates simultaneously.
Each flight has certain things that have to happen. It has to be fueled, has to have catering, has to be clean. So we're coordinating all those different inspections and activities that go into it every flight. We're ground control. So we bring the planes in and we push the planes out. Repeat and go, repeat and go.
Roger, United 4484. Your push approved tail south. Currently there's 2 in queue.
Ramp controllers manage the flow of aircraft, enabling pilots to find the right gate and head for the right runway.
Hey, I got Bravo 29. It's ship number 950.
Gate controllers oversee the turnaround itself, managing up to 8 gates simultaneously, constantly troubleshooting problems.
My gate Bravo 31, he just pushed off the gate. He was on time, and I got Bravo 33. We have the jetway off, and it looks like he's going to be early.
It's the gate controller's job to liaise with the ground crew to ensure baggage tugs arrive for the luggage and catering trucks arrive with newly loaded galley carts. But one vehicle you won't see out here is a fuel tanker. So how do these planes get refueled? Running underground is a hidden network of pipes, 23 miles long, which feed fuel to every single gate at the airport. And the system pumps 11 million liters of aviation fuel every day.
SkyWest 109, North Cargo, Dixie 35.
The ramp tower has information on every aspect of an aircraft's operation, from how much fuel it needs to how many bags should be on board. This information is fed to the ground crew using the latest in handheld electronics, which is how they know that this flight has a problem.
We are out 41 bags.
Hey, listen, you guys got in the bag. I got 2330 Tampa Alpha 7. We're missing about 40 bags.
Okay.
It's 2330, and we got 15 minutes on the clock.
5 or 10 minutes, and the issue should be resolved.
All right, 38.5. Hey, stand by 1 second, Bob.
San Francisco Bravo 22.
It's the job of the ramp tower staff to deal with any issue and minimize the risk of delay.
Planes will come in and something goes wrong with it. It'll break, needs tire changing, doors won't open. Delays affect us greatly because we're such a tight operation.
There's one problem the ramp tower dreads above anything else.
Worst nightmare, bad weather. Here in the South, we have thunderstorms that just pop up out of nowhere. When it starts raining, we start slowing the flow of traffic coming in here. At that point, we're taking major delays.
The ramp tower staff constantly juggle resources to keep delays to a minimum.
4803, what was the fuel on board?
Can you tell me what maintenance is actually working on?
They can track every single inbound, outbound, and grounded aircraft coming through Atlanta in the next day. And if a problem calls for a replacement plane, they know exactly where to find one.
Sometimes these aircraft come in and they might be sitting on the ground for 2 hours for their next flight. So what we do is the aircraft that just broke has a 2-hour ready time. We'll take that ship that's sitting here waiting for 2 hours and we'll put the passengers on them. And then by the time that happens, this one should be repaired and it'll be able to make up. We're moving things around. We're trying to utilize all our resources that we have to get them up.
It came in early. You see the standard time right there is 11:50 or whatever, but it came in at 11:34.
It's a constant battle against time, technology, and the elements. And it never stops.
Up here, we're kind of like a beehive. Everybody, there's just activity. If you were to take the lid off, you're just going to hear, buzzing going on.
The tower is also in communication with the gate agents. They must deal with the single most time-consuming turnaround job of all. Us, the passengers.
We should begin boarding at 35 minutes prior to departure, so we are getting ready to begin boarding.
But the boarding process has been delayed.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
Thank you.
No problem. Cute glasses.
Thank you. Whether the captain and first officer are here or not, all flight attendants have to be here before we can board. So right now we just have one. We're still holding on 3 more.
Maintain control of your bags at all times.
We're all familiar with seating areas where we can wait for our flight, but what about the air crews? Hidden out of the way underneath the terminals are 2 other lounges. One for cabin crew, the other for pilots.
You have a typical passenger that goes from the West Coast to the East Coast on any given day. They will tell you they're worn out, and that's just from riding in the airplane. Well, we're busily working and flying these airplanes, and we need downtime too. So if we're able to go into a lounge at our base, we have enough time, we'll go in there, sit, relax for a little while, and kick back, put our feet up, and out of the public view, because no one in the airport wants to see their pilot sleeping. That is not a good look.
As Atlanta is the main hub for Craig's airline, he spends a lot of time down here.
There's a blue chair over there in front of the television that I am particularly fond of. Reclines almost completely flat. I've spent many hours in it.
From their lounge, pilots can get their schedule for the day and up-to-date weather forecasts. But as they head for their gate, it turns out that one of the most critical things the pilot of a £75 million plane relies on is an old-fashioned printout.
This is the pilot's pre-departure paperwork. It basically lets them know which runway they need to take, what elevation, it has all of it, how much fuel they need, all the little details, who his crew is, everything. So this is vital to the operation. If the pilot doesn't get this, he can't go anywhere. Here you go, gentlemen.
Outstanding.
Thank you very much.
We aren't able to accommodate any additional passengers for this flight. It has checked completely full.
There are still 5 minutes to go when the aircraft door is closed, even though work can still be going on the tarmac.
The clock is showing D-2 on there, so everything was closed up at D3. We're ready for an on-time departure. He's on the headset right now, just waiting for the captain to call him. Once the captain get his clearance out, we'll be ready to go.
We're ready to take the canopy off the aircraft and get the plane back for an on-time departure.
The ramp controller liaises with air traffic control.
Roger.
Before giving the pilot clearance to move.
Right now, we got this aircraft that's pushing back. We're giving them instructions on how to go so they can get oriented to the right runway so they can take off.
Flight DL-2330 heads off to Tampa, bang on schedule. But keeping Atlanta's 2,700 flights a day on time isn't just down to the ramp towers.
Once again, this is a final boarding call for Delta Flight 1286. All confirmed and ticketed passengers must be on board at this time.
At gate T6, they've almost finished boarding a flight to New York.
Hi, how are you today?
But some passengers are missing.
We're missing still about 8 passengers on board. Most of these passengers are coming from a connecting flight.
Atlanta is a massive hub, with flights coming in from all over the world, as well as across the USA. Over 60% of passengers are changing from one flight to another. And with gates as much as 1.5 miles apart, getting them from one aircraft to another is a huge issue. So how do you get passengers to their flight on time? The solution lies underground. A subterranean automated railway, which handles more passengers a day than all the terminals at Heathrow combined. A 3-mile loop of track runs along the spine of the airport, connecting terminals and gates.
The next stop is for A gates, A as in Alpha.
At peak times, the trains run a minute apart, allowing the plane train to shuttle 250,000 passengers, staff and crew from terminal to terminal every day. It's the busiest automated airport railway in the world.
The next stop is for B gates, B as in Bravo.
But what and who keeps it running?
Get you to head out to F2. Got doors failing to lock, F2. We have to ensure that there's no glitches, no hang-ups. We want to keep it moving smooth. It's all about getting people safely from entering the airport to their destinations.
From the control room, Rod can monitor the performance of every train in the system. Any problem, like faulty doors, overloaded trains, or power failures, will raise an alarm.
Train 4, car 47, doors failing to close.
And as soon as there's an issue, Rod alerts his roving team of engineers to fix it.
All right, no problem.
They are part of a secret army of people who keep the airport functioning.
You have 3 guys spread out across the entire system, and they all have a certain area to cover. If an issue happens, you can tell them where the train is,
Car 34.
what the problem is.
The pressure on Rod is immense. A plane train breakdown is the nightmare scenario.
Without that 1 minute train, now the crowd's starting to pile up and pile up and pile up. Those stations would be crowded in just 5 minutes. It affects everything. Now the planes can't depart because they don't have the passengers. I mean, it's a ripple effect.
With 2,700 flights routed via Atlanta each day, the ripples spread far and wide.
It wouldn't affect just Atlanta. We're talking the whole southeast, eastern seaboard. I mean, it is not a good thing, not a good thing at all.
Careful, doors are closing and will not reopen.
While Rod's team attend to every technical fault, some problems are beyond their control.
Number one would probably be passenger interference.
That means people jamming doors. The automated system requires the doors to close properly before a train can move off. If the doors are jammed open or damaged, it brings the plane train and possibly a significant slice of US air traffic to a complete halt.
These trains will not move without the doors being closed. That's why it's so crucial, it's so important.
Careful, doors are closing.
But passengers aren't just worried about catching their flights.
I don't feel too comfortable checking in luggage.
Like, especially if I'm traveling with dance costumes or something important, like, I always get scared that they're gonna lose my bags.
This is actually only my second time on a plane, so the first time, my baggage got lost.
Worldwide, around 20 million bags are lost or damaged each year, costing the industry £1.8 billion. Atlanta uses the latest in technology to minimize the chance of your bags missing your flight. Welcome to Atlanta's high-tech baggage highway. First stop on the line, the Transportation Security Administration's screening facility. TSA, as they're known, scans every single check-in bag before it goes anywhere, which adds up to 14.9 million bags a year. At peak times, TSA will run 42 X-ray machines, each costing £261,000, to hunt for explosives or other banned items.
If we deem that it might be suspicious, we end up sending it to one line, and if the machine says we're okay with this bag, it'll actually send it to another line straight onto the plane.
Most bags pass through without any problem, but a significant number are sent down the suspicious bag slipway to TSA's baggage inspection room for stage 2.
This is my bag right now.
Using the X-ray from the scanner, inspectors can zero in on the suspicious part of the bag.
Any bag that has a laptop in it is going to pretty much come down and be alarmed and checked on the floor, because that's easily something that you can hide or conceal an explosive device or make up an explosive device in. I'm checking for any type of explosive or trace material that it might be on the item itself.
Analyzing a swab from the laptop is the surest way to check if it's okay or not.
Okay.
Any bag containing tools, electronics, or liquid containers must pass George's inspection before it can go on its way.
Oh, now, so with this bag here, it's locked.
If a bag's locked and George doesn't have a master key, he must adopt a more direct approach. Explosives, thankfully, are incredibly rare, but George does get a surprise now and again.
One time we even seen like some dead rats, mice, and it was just a whole bunch of them in little Ziploc bags. One time we even seen a complete car, the hood, just bits and pieces, the headlights, just in different bags. It was literally like a whole car.
Confirmed as safe, bags move to stage 3, where the adventure really begins.
35 miles of conveyor system, mostly hidden under the building, so it's kind of like the underground Disney where you really don't know all the different things that are happening.
It's a mechanized wonderland with 500 junctions. And it's here that the tag on your bag really earns its stripes. At Atlanta, they're special because they contain a microchip, or RFID.
We have optical readers around the system that periodically check the location of the bag, as well as RFID readers.
The RFID allows bags to be identified even if the barcode gets obscured. This ensures that every bag gets routed to the right destination. And the microchip offers an extra little peace of mind.
So it allows us a lot better information We're now able to relay that information to our passengers. They can use an app to see the location of their bag at any time, whether it's on board, whether it's sitting at the claim unit for them.
Andy and his team constantly monitor the system.
There are different color codes that come up depending on the activity of the system. Green is good. Green is always good. Purple indicates there's a little bit of a problem and bags are starting to back up. And then if there ends up being a jam, it indicates a jam in yellow.
Unfortunately, Andy and his colleagues see yellow over 60 times a day.
We have a jam at MB 143, MB 143.
A baggage system technician is dispatched to sort out the problem.
Our goal is to clear them within a minute and a half. There's a little competition between the day shift and the PM shift on how quickly they can clear a jam.
Most jams are like this one. 4 bags have ended up wedged together, blocking the conveyor. It's simple enough to clear, and Andy's computer screens are green for go again.
The most we've handled in any particular day was 108,000. That's pretty mind-boggling how many bags we're able to move through here in a day, keep them sorted out, get them to the correct flights.
The airport systems do a remarkable job of getting passengers and luggage to their onward flight. But what do you do if you've got a tight connection? And even the plane train isn't going to be fast enough. Ever wondered what those people with name boards on the air bridge are doing?
Are you Mr. Stender? I am, yes. How are you? Good morning, sir.
Delta passenger Stephen Stender has less than 30 minutes to make his connection.
Well, I've got a nice treat waiting for you downstairs if you follow me.
Having alerted the airline to his problem, they've stepped in to help. This is their Porsche transfer service, reserved for VIPs, paying clients, and people who really can't afford to miss their onward flight.
I was really sweating it, you know. I was a little concerned about weather and everything else. It's a big day. Actually asking my girlfriend to be my wife. I'm flying home to Milwaukee, and immediately as I see her, I'm gonna ask her to marry me. And we are then celebrating. We're off to Hawaii.
It might seem a bit absurd, using a sports car capable of 160 miles an hour to tootle across the tarmac at a modest 30. But with an automated massage included, it's been chosen for comfort rather than speed.
We could just take a little tour around the airport for an hour. I could get used to this.
And again, just watch your step, Mr. Stender, as we head up.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
One passenger's journey that could have gone south is now heading north, on time to Milwaukee. There's only one thing more important to the airport than getting people away on time, and that's ensuring their safety.
Bus 840, traffic's British now, head to your right and left turn north. Side 840.
Across the world, there are estimated to be as many as 16,000 planes in the air at any one time. Controlling each and every flight is a mammoth task.
Point 326, taxi via the pink 3, hold short, runway 90 right.
Hold short, runway 90 right via the pink 3, Delta 2326.
At the world's busiest airport, air traffic control is one of the most challenging jobs.
We are servicing 150 domestic destinations, 70 international destinations, and 50 countries. And so our job is to make that portion where you start and you end your flight as seamless as possible.
Delta 2564 is coming up on Bernie 9 right.
It's a non-stop carousel of planes in and out.
Southwest 105 at Romeo 3, cross runway 90 right, turn left on taxiway November.
Delta 1375.
Every airport is different, but here in Atlanta, you have to have that energy to keep going and keep moving forward when you are getting behind, because you can get behind real fast here.
Paul and his colleagues handle 5 parallel runways in constant use and 2,700 flights a day.
We can handle anywhere between 130 arrivals an hour and 120 departures an hour, so roughly over 250 operations an hour.
So how do you manage the flow of aircraft when there is a takeoff or landing happening every 15 seconds? Atlanta Airport is divided in 2. Each side serving one half of US airspace. On each side, one runway is dedicated to takeoffs, the others to landings. And each runway has a designated controller.
Delta 1471, you can make the left turn at Lima 1. You'll follow an Embraer approaching from your left. Delta 1471, monitor tower 123.85.
Breaking the system down like this makes the process of air traffic control much more manageable.
That's good. Thank you, Delta 2326. I'll pass this information on.
Thank you.
Delta 1564, turn left on November and hold short over 9 left to taxiway Sierra.
The airport's taxiways operate as enormous one-way streets, channeling aircraft to and from their gates. And this allows air traffic control to maximize throughput when things get busy.
The ground controller's main objective is to taxi the aircraft, both arriving and departures, to get them to their runway.
Air Shuttle 6116, you'll be next for departure, monitor tower 123.85.
123.85, that's 10 to me.
Aircraft need a minimum separation between takeoffs. But smaller gaps are permitted if their routes diverge as soon as they're airborne.
When they taxi out for departure, you could get a north departure and you can get followed by another north departure. And what the ground controller would do is he would park that second north departure and wait for a west departure to come out.
Delta 314 Atlanta Tower, and on the right, wind 0605, clear to land, you're number 2.
By alternating aircraft so that one with a flight path going left is followed by one with a flight path going right, you can speed up the rate at which they depart.
American 668, cross over 9 left, join Mike and contact ground point.
The principle of simplification even applies to the technology the air traffic controllers use. For all the radar and computers they have, the most essential tool for managing individual aircraft is this, a plastic strip.
Those plastic strips, those are the flight plans, and basically they have the aircraft call sign on there, they have the destination, the altitude, they have a transponder code on there, in which that code is linked up to that particular aircraft so that we can radar identify them and follow them throughout the airspace. There's times where you could have 50 of those strips, and that's a way for us to keep them organized, and it's a memory aid for us, so we use those all the time.
Passing the strip from one controller to the next keeps responsibilities clear and the traffic flowing. Airports rely on keeping the passengers moving as much as the planes. And as any regular traveler knows, that means clearing security.
Having people go through security is probably the biggest thing, you know, with 9/11 and everything after that, you know.
Going through security, that can be rough for some people sometimes.
Standing in line is kind of like long and annoying, but like it's definitely necessary. You want to make sure you're safe when you're traveling.
The Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, are responsible for all US airport security.
Your attention, please. Airport security alert. Please maintain control of your bags at all times.
They were formed in the wake of the 9/11 terrorist attack, and Christy Newton-Terry was one of their first employees.
The training was very fast. I had my interview, my tests, everything all in the same day. Within a 3-week span, it was like this, and I had a job that has lasted me this long. It was amazing to me, what it is that we do. Basically saving the public every day.
Yeah. Move your jacket. Sir, you can step around. I have an open station in the front.
We have a motto, not on our watch. Basically, it means never again do we want 9/11 to happen.
Everything that's in your pocket, put it in here. Very first station.
The main weapon in TSA's armory is the X-ray scanner. But if it can see inside our luggage, why do we have to take anything out?
Anything that we have you take out of the bag is basically for the X-ray operator so that they can see clearer through the item to make sure nothing prohibited is inside.
Laptops and other metal items can block the X-ray machine's penetrating eye, which is why passengers have to remove them from their bags. They can hide prohibited items from detection.
Remember, guys, we are taking anything you can eat, drink, or serve the web with out of the bags.
Last year, screening at Atlanta revealed 245 handguns carried in people's luggage, of which 222 were loaded.
We find their gun almost every day. Some of them forget they're in their bag. Some of them think that they can bring them because they have a carry concealed license and they think that they can still bring it through.
Remember, guys, anything you can eat, drink, serve the web with, go ahead and take it out of the bags.
The meticulous process of security can cause long queues. But Atlanta does have one tool up its sleeve. More efficient than metal detectors and body scanners, it can keep queues to a minimum. Say hello to Flint, one of 17 specially trained explosive sniffer dogs.
He's not gonna bother, he's just gonna smell you. Well, the technology is very good, but the dog's keen sense of smell is much better than the machinery, and it's a lot quicker. So we can screen passengers much faster. We used to screen cargo, and they would call us because if they had 20 pallets to screen, the dog could do it in 10 minutes, where it would probably take them 2 hours.
By eliminating the possibility of passengers carrying explosives before they even reach the X-ray machines, the remaining security checks can be simplified.
He's not gonna bother you, he's just gonna smell you. They don't take their shoes off, they don't have to take their liquids out. It's just much more efficient and a faster way for them to pass through the secondary part of the screening.
As any regular traveller knows, Mother Nature can have a dramatic effect on air travel. Storms, snow and lightning can all cause airport delays. But the natural world's interventions aren't just limited to the elements. Wildlife also poses a significant risk.
We see the most activity on the South Complex. Canada geese, killdeer, mourning doves, European starlings, all kinds of different blackbirds. Your normal everyday birds, we experience them here out on the airfield.
Jet engines are designed to suck in air, not birds. And the results of a bird strike can be catastrophic.
2009, you may have heard of the aircraft that took off from JFK, ingested Canada geese into both engines, lost thrust, and essentially became a glider. He was able to land on the Hudson River. So 155 people evacuated safely from that aircraft. It was a miracle.
Atlanta has a special team dedicated to minimizing the risk birds pose to aircraft. The problem is, airfields are surprisingly attractive to wildlife.
They don't have much disturbance from human beings outside of the aircraft, so once they condition to the aircraft noise, it's really a nice place to be if you're wildlife.
Stephen's job is to make sure they don't stay.
This is what we call our wildlife kit. It's in every one of the operations vehicles. Starter pistol. It has all the pyrotechnics.
Stephen uses a range of pyrotechnics to flush out different birds. But not everything in his kit is about scaring wildlife.
Gloves, along with alcohol wipes.
These are used when Stephen collects this. the remains of a bird strike.
Blood, feathers, dried tissue. We call that snarge in the industry, snarge.
The snarge will be collected and bagged up for DNA analysis at a laboratory.
ID into species helps us determine what's bringing that wildlife to our airport and what we need to mitigate.
On an airfield that covers nearly 5,000 acres, getting rid of troublesome wildlife requires more than just a suitcase of equipment.
This is one of our wildlife deterrent units. It consists of a propane cannon, and then also a bioacoustic generator. So this is a sound system that's playing multiple different species distress cries to say, leave the area, it's unsafe, this is not for you, so please remove yourself from the environment. Go ahead and activate the cannon after he passes.
Despite all these efforts, birds still take up residence at the airfield.
Right now, in July, we're seeing our peak bird strike numbers, and that can range from 1 a day to 1 every other day. When taking into account how many movements we have here at the busiest airport, it's not bad. We don't have a wildlife problem necessarily, we have an aircraft problem.
Catastrophic bird strikes are incredibly rare. But what happens when a plane is damaged? This building, over a mile long, houses Delta Airlines Technical Operations Department, or TechOps for short. If a plane arrives at Atlanta after a damaging bird strike, this is where it ends up.
Anything that's solid that goes through an engine typically does significant damage. The worst damage that I've seen was a bird strike, which caused all the blades in the HPC to disintegrate. And so the HPC that we see behind us here has nice uniform blades, and the worst one kind of resembled a corn cob, after the corn had been eaten. And we actually refer to it as being corn cobbed. And all the blades break off, and it is a mess.
Blaine's team don't just deal with repairs. This is where the majority of the 1,700 engines that power Delta's fleet get serviced.
We overhaul engines for Delta. So we've got about 8 different engine lines, and we can bring the engines in, disassemble them to the piece part level, and reassemble the engine, and then get it ready for test.
An individual engine can cost as much as £6 million brand new. Servicing them requires an extraordinary range of techniques and materials, which is why a complete overhaul can cost as much as £2.3 million. Aircraft, like engines, will run for years and years with a regular service. So specialist teams work every night to get planes back in action in the morning.
This plane tonight, we have a RON. It's a remain overnight visit where we do standard routine maintenance on them. On this one tonight, our main focus is on the vertical stabilizer. Most of the other checks we have on it are like servicing tires, changing brakes, the fluids. We'll be doing engine work where we're changing the igniter plugs. We have a really good crew, and we work through the issues. We figure out what the problem is and what it's going to take to fix it, and we try our best to get it fixed and be able to turn the aircraft.
Delta service 21 different kinds of aircraft in this hangar, each comprised of millions of parts. If just one of these spare parts is out of stock and a plane can't fly, the costs of the delay and the knock-on effects can quickly skyrocket into the millions. To keep their fleet in the air, Delta have built one of the world's biggest spare parts stores.
It's beyond me how many parts would actually be on here. There's 2.4 million different part types, but actual parts, probably trillions, who knows?
Finding parts in such an enormous store is so complicated, the entire system has to be run by state-of-the-art computers.
When the mechanic orders a part, it goes through the system, so it actually queues up everything for us. The system will determine what parts and what priority they need to be picked in. It brings it to us. Once we confirm that order, it sends it back, and then the retriever will bring another part. Sometimes it's a struggle to keep up with the orders, especially in the summertime. That's our peak season. The mechanics are busy keeping the plane cycling, and we've got to get those parts to them, so sometimes it is a challenge to keep up.
Maintenance is so important to Delta's operation that the team here retrieve and send out a staggering 46,682 parts and components every day. And the need to keep aircraft in operation can have unexpected consequences in the normally cutthroat business of US airlines.
Unfortunately, every once in a while, we will find ourselves out of stock on a part. So sometimes airlines work together and they share parts or borrow parts from each other or buy parts from each other. It's very, very, very rare that we ground a plane.
Meticulous maintenance is what makes global air travel possible. But how do you maintain the airport and its systems when they're in constant use every day?
At X-ray runway 7, hold, correction, runway 12, hold short runway 7.
It's 11 p.m. and passenger flights have all but ceased. The cargo terminal will run throughout the night, but activity at the passenger gates has come to a halt. Now, another secret army of people leaps into action. These precious few hours when passenger flights are suspended are the only time most airports can carry out essential maintenance. And with 5 runways, 192 gates, and over 5,000 acres to look after, that means a lot of work.
20 Oscar, 20 Tango, 34 crew, Unit 5, Unit 10's all concerned. Be advised, runway 26 right is closed.
Each runway is closed once a week for the airside operations team to conduct inspections and running repairs.
So right now I'm beginning the nightly airfield inspection. We're going to start with airfield lighting.
Runway lighting ensures pilots can clearly see the runway, whatever the weather. And nighttime is the only time these legally required checks can be made.
We're looking for lights that are out of service, lights that are angled the wrong way, lights that are overly bright, lights that are very dim. Anything that could be detrimental to the operation of the airfield. We cannot have more than 2 consecutive out, and we cannot have more than 10% of the entire lighting system out of service.
It's a big job. 18,295 lights are needed to illuminate the airfield properly. The lights aren't just there to indicate runways and taxiways. Special patterns and colors help tell a pilot exactly where they are on the airstrip.
This is a 9,000-foot runway, so you want the first 3,000 feet for the touchdown of an aircraft. What we're seeing on the left and right sides of the center line, and they are 3 lights spaced 150 feet apart from each other, what we call runway touchdown zone lights.
South 1470, right turn at the end, and then
There aren't just patterns at the start of the runway. Other lights tell you when you're close to its end.
From this point, we have 3,000 feet remaining to the end of the runway. And at this point, your runway centerline lights will change from white in color to alternating red and white in color.
November 4, roll to the end, please. November 2 is unavailable. 572, roger.
And the runway centerline lights will change as we approach up here the 1,000 foot remaining mark from alternating red and white to solid red.
The lighting code isn't limited to the runways. Green lights indicate the center of taxiways. Blue, the edges. and flashing yellow means you're about to cross an active runway.
Heading 280, clear for takeoff, runway 26 left southwest.
Matt's lighting check isn't the only work being carried out at night. Inside the airport's buildings, an army of engineers, technicians and cleaners has descended to ensure the buildings are returned to full working order before the first flights depart at 6 a.m. Special machines are deployed to dust every nook and cranny, wash the 1,378 public toilets, and clean 3.5 miles of moving walkways and escalators. Nothing escapes the attention of these Nighthawks.
Check the G-shoe and its cable, also the C-phase cable and the A-phase cable. That's good.
Even the points on the plane train track get a clean. It's 4:30 a.m. Passengers will be arriving to check in for the first flights of the day. But there's still one routine check that needs to be carried out.
All right, so now we're heading into the runway safety area, which is giving us an alert so we know we're getting to that area, which we're not allowed to be in unless we have authorization, which we do because we have a runway closure.
Technicians from the Federal Aviation Administration are here to test one of the airport's most vital pieces of equipment.
So here they are.
Ever wondered what the mysterious antennae at the end of the runway are for? This is part of the Instrument Landing System, or ILS for short. The airport simply can't operate without it.
We only have 2 clearances, one on this side and one on the 150 side. It's one of the most crucial systems that is on any airport because they are used to ensure that in the worst weather condition possible, an aircraft can land at an airport safely without seeing the runway. So I'll read and you write. 13 degree point, 299 in the 90.
Got it.
With a ground check, what we basically do is check the integrity of the signal that's radiating out to align the aircraft on center line.
In principle, the ILS sends out 2 signals for approaching aircraft to lock onto. One tells the pilot when they're lined up with the center of the runway. The other when they are descending at the correct angle to land. And in an age of computers and digital technology, this system is remarkably old school. It relies on radio waves.
It's very simple in the concept. If I had 2 radio stations, one tune into this channel and one tune into the other channel, and I put them on different sides of the runway, and I tell the pilot, I want you to find a spot where you can't hear either channel. When is that? When you're dead center. So if you start to hear this FM versus that FM, you're not in the center. Find the center.
Making sure the system is working is critical at any airport. But at Atlanta, it has added significance.
Here we have 5 parallel runways, and sometimes we have triple landings, and they're always locked onto those ILSs because there's so many planes coming in at the same time. They want to stay on that runway center.
With all the checks complete, the world's busiest airport is fully open for business again.
We have an on-time scheduled departure this afternoon of 4:48, with an arrival into Detroit of 6:39 p.m. local time.
As airports become increasingly familiar in our daily lives, it would be easy to take these complex places for granted.
Air Shuttle 6116, you'll be next for departure, monitor tower 123.85.
Yet behind the scenes is a secret army of people dedicated to ensuring our flights arrive and leave on time.
My job's invisible to the public, that some people don't even know that I exist, and I don't mind that. I get enough credit and satisfaction out of knowing that I'm making this place safer for the traveling public.
Get a lot of people that come in and say thank you for what you do. I know you have a difficult job, and we appreciate it. And we, in turn, appreciate those people that say that.
They operate around the clock.
A typical night for me starts at 10:30 p.m. It ends about 7:30 a.m. This industry, it's a 24/7, 365 industry, and the midnight shift is a necessary part of that.
And they work with all manner of machinery.
I enjoyed being able to take an engine completely apart and then later seeing it on wing flying safely.
To make our journeys run as safely and as seamlessly as possible. They are living the secret life of the world's busiest airport.